And you know what, let's give it a finishing touch. I think something like that would look okay, wouldn't it? So okay, that'll be the thumbnail for this video. Let me go into this tutorial straight away, how you can make an easy thumbnail in GIMP. So on the top we have a menu, file, and we can do a new canvas. So image, I like to use this drop down. There's a template here, select that and come down. Now this depends on your thumbnail. Do you want to make a 720p or a full HD 1080p? I like to do full HD 1080p because I can use that as a thumbnail in YouTube as well as put it on my blog. But that's not it, we haven't finished yet. Down here there's an option for advanced options. This is while we're creating the canvas. Click on that. Depending on what you're making, I like to come to this bit here. It says fill with, and it says background color. Currently the background color by default is black. I don't really want that. I want it to be transparent, and I'll do OK. Okay, so that is our canvas. Now we need to know a few things. If you're currently using it as a new beginner, that is an option to move. So you can see if you select it, it doesn't do anything, but we need to put something in here to work with. So right now on the right, you'll see I have one layer, which is a background layer, and that's transparent. So let's add something in here to be able to work. So I like to use default colors in my thumbnails. Like I have a standard color. So if I do file and open, you'll see there's some images here I've got which I'll use for this demonstration. So I want to put a picture into here. How do you do that? So file and open as layers, which will open up the image as a layer. And I want to use this image here first, so I do open, and it asks you this. I'm importing the image from a color profile because I've created that in another program. You could convert it or keep it, it doesn't really matter. I click keep. So you can see now here I have two layers. Does that make sense? So 1, 2. One is a background, which we created the transparent layer. I've added the new image as another layer. And the reason I added this image is I want to show you what I'm going to be working with and what I'm planning to do. I normally put a photo in there. I clip the photo to get rid of the background. I'll show you how I do that in this software. I put a box and some text, and that's my thumbnail. But firstly, I want to get my default colors. So how do you change colors? So I selected this color here, and there is a little color dipper here. There, I select that. So now I know that my background is that yellow color and the foreground is white. So if you installed the shortcut, which I advised in the installation bit of this process of GIMP, you can press CTRL and backspace, and it will fill the current selection with the color you have selected as your background here. You can press X and it switches. So you can see in the little menu there, just here, it's gone white back. So if I was to make white and did CTRL back, it'll be white. If I do X, CTRL backspace as in delete, it made it yellow. So that's my background. So that was the main purpose of bringing this photo in, to be honest. Firstly, I showed you how to bring a photo in, and now I've shown you how to get the color of your background. So technically I could delete this by doing delete on the bottom here. So now I've only got my background layer, which was transparent, but now it's become a color. Next, I'm going to add in another photo. So file, open as layers, and you'll see I've got two photos now. I tend to use the photos as let's see which would be a good one. Let's see, I'm thinking about something or doing that. Let's try that one. So if I do open, use your mouse and scroll out at the same time as pressing CTRL, and that basically brings you in and out of the photo. So now you can see here this image is too big, so let's grab the move tool, which is the little star kind of thing there, press on the photo and drag it, so that repositions it. If you press CTRL and T, you can see these boxes up here. So now we can grab these, and if you keep one of the buttons pressed, see that it's kind of doing that. I don't really want it to do that. I want it to stay square. So how you do that is, let's undo that. You can hold down Alt and drag at the same time. So on the keyboard, Alt and drag, and then you can select the move tool again. And if you want, you can check these shortcuts. Let me show you. If I move that here, if I hover over here, you can see that is a W, is it? W. So if I was to come on, I don't know, something else, like let's do that and then press W, will that work? No, it was probably not W, is it V? Oh, okay, it's V. So whenever you're on another option, you can use a different shortcut. Like if I press V, it goes back to that, you see? And then yeah, so I'm kind of happy with that. If I zoom in again, CTRL and zoom in, there is how big I will be. CTRL and T, which is transform. You don't have to use these shortcuts, you can use these little menus here. So you can see there, that's a scale tool. That's what I'm basically using. Hold down Alt and then resize that to make it a little bit bigger. And then I normally press V, which brings me back here. I want to be like somewhere there. So that's me adding an image into GIMP, which I'm going to use right now. Tool, I'm going to use the free select tool. So let's see how much better this one is. If anything, CTRL and zoom in, and you can use spacebar. So I'm going to start selecting, wham, bam, and just go around. So you know that stuff where I basically made a free selection around me, then I use a paintbrush to paint me out. I don't know if that was wasting time, because I could have just done this. So if I press space, I can readjust. If you installed the Adobe thing that I talked about, which is basically the Photoshop file, which is provided free on that Linux forum, and it allows you to map the Photoshop keys onto GIMP. So if you used Photoshop in the past, you can use the same shortcuts on GIMP, which makes it a hell of a lot easier rather than learning everything and clicking on the menus, because otherwise I'll have to kind of say to you, oh, actually you have to click here, click there. But if you're following along, let's see how long this takes. So I'm basically moving around the screen, space and move the screen, and then let's get all the way around here. I'm not doing it perfectly because I'm basically don't want to spend as much time on it. It should be quick, because if you remember in Photoshop it used to be a quick selection, which I will show you. Let's zoom out a bit and let's just connect these up again. So there we go. Now right click, try this way, edit. Yes, so see the same right click on the image is the same as edit over here. So now we want to clear, no, invert selection. So view, select, invert, edit, clear, which has got rid of the background but it's made it white, which I don't want. So let's do edit, fill with background color, deselect. Now okay, so now you judge it. That is, let me zoom in a bit, still not perfect. So see, like, see all that, it's not perfect. But GIMP, there are going to be limitations. You have to play with it and learn it. But that was the tool, which was the free select tool, and the other one was the foreground select tool. Let me show you the foreground select tool. That's the foreground versus that. So that's the two compared. Now I reckon that is passable for a thumbnail. So next you want to be adding text on here. So right now we have some layers: background layer, image layer. Ideally that image layer, you know what, let me do this properly. Let's go and invert selection. I want to get rid of, okay, that was too far. I was already there, wasn't I? So fit with foreground color, no, free select, invert selection, and then I want to clear. Can you just press delete? Yeah, see that, you'd think you can delete the background because I want it to be empty, as in transparent. Let's get rid of the background and let's right click, edit, clear. Yes, okay, edit clear worked this time. Last time I had to fill it yellow to give you a quick example. CTRL and D is deselecting it, and then let's bring the background back on here, just there. So that is, undo history tab is handy for that kind of thing. You can kind of go back to the point where you wanted to go back to tool options here, and now the fun begins. So let's do a new layer just here. I'm hoping you can see that, which you cannot, which means I need to readjust this window here. Display capture, Okay, just on the bottom, so you'll see just there, kind of, it says create a new layer. Click on that. I'll call this text, go T, and I want it to be about there, so we'll do, what was I going to call it, main gimp tools, GIMPTOOLS, gimp tools. And you know what, I want it to be spaced, so let's go back there and press enter, do CTRL and A, which selects all. Let's make it bold. Let's come here. Can I put impact in there now? Why doesn't it let me type impact? Yeah, I was hoping it'll give me the impact font, but it doesn't. There's a lot of fonts here, it's just the one that I want can't be typed in. Oh, let's just do Arial bold. Okay, and now here you can see it's 62. Let's make that 200. Enter. Go here. Okay, so now here is my text layer. I select the tool here, move tool, and then what I normally tend to do is right click on the text and do colors, or filters is the one we're looking at, filters. And then if you go to drop shadow, which will be in light and shadow, and then drop shadow, this is similar to the Photoshop setting where you can add like a border. So now you can see this drop shadow menu comes up. So I save defaults. So in this preset there's nothing listed. So what I like to do is I like to find 0 grow radius. As I increase that, and then opacity, I want to bring that to full. Now grow radius 9. See, whatever number that is will be how thick the outside will be. So you can see the grow radius is square, blur radius is 10. I don't want blur, go right down. So that's basically a long way of getting outline of a text, but that's how you do it in GIMP. Grow radius, let's make that a bit thicker. Okay, yeah, 7's about nice, so that lets you see that text clearly. And what I'll do is I'll save it. So here you can see you can do a plus, and I'll call that outline. So when we come to use it in future, all you do is click on the drop down and select outline, and you get the same outline every time. So I'll do OK, and then CTRL and T, and I want to make that a little bit bigger. So that's a transform tool. Enter, and let's grab that and bring it down here. I want to put a couple of boxes behind it. So if you're familiar with layers, you basically want to use that and put a layer behind it. So if I do add a new layer, call it background, and do OK, that's a background. So remember, this is a template we're making, which will be a default. So every time you can just come in here and change bits of it and put new pictures in and out. So you don't have to create it from scratch again. We're basically making it from scratch and saving it as a template later on. So I've got a background. Let's go to the select tool. Let's go and select a little box, and then right click, edit, fill with. Okay, so right now I want to fill it with the color, but that is yellow. So let's make that yellow black, and do OK, and right click, edit, fill with background color, which is there, and then you can do CTRL and J, which duplicates the layer, and then I can drag that other box down here. Okay, so that's how it looks right now. You can deselect it. Okay, so that is a quick look at setting up a thumbnail. It took a little bit of time, but you need to adjust with the tools and settings, and that is what you can end up with.